Hi everyone, Speed Close by Sam today. We have an easy one because it's Monday, and if you don't know what Close by Sam is, it's a daily logic puzzle game, which means it changes every day, and you have 20 people who may be criminals or innocents, and they give you clues to help you figure out who is what, and you gotta do no guessing. And I'm here every day doing it just for practice. So if you want to try before you watch, there's a link in the description. Otherwise, let's start now. Freya is telling us that there are no innocents above Xavi who neighbor Phil. Xavi is here, Phil is here. There's two people above Xavi who neighbor Phil. None of them can be innocent, so we have two criminals right off the bat. Now, Scott tells us there are more criminals than innocents to the right of Phil, which is right here, and Phil only has two people to his right, so if any of them are innocent, we would have the same number. So we know that Terry is for sure a criminal as well, and we don't need Scott's clue anymore. Now, Terry tells us that Hall is one of 11 innocents on the edges. Wow, we have... I misclicked. See, that's the issue of trying to do things too quickly. We know that Hall is an innocent, and there's 11 innocents on the edges, not criminals. And Hal now tells us that Zara is the only one with only one innocent neighbor. Well, Zara only has one neighbor left, so they have to be an innocent, and that's Xavi. And Zara only has one innocent neighbor, so no one else can have only one. They may be zero or more than one. So let's leave Hall's clue there. Xavi doesn't tell us anything. But what else do we know? What else do we know? I guess we know that there's gonna be one or the other here because Terry has to have at least one more innocent neighbor. Scott also has to have more innocent neighbors. I'm lost. Let's count how many people are on the edges total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So there's 14 people on the edges. 11 of them are innocents, which means that only 3 people are criminals on the edges. Terry is one of them. If all 3 people who are on the edges and are criminals are in column B, that will be an issue because now Terry only has one innocent neighbor, and only Zara can fit that criteria. So does that tell us that at least Linda has to be an innocent? Because Zara could be an innocent and then Linda could be a criminal. Is this an easy one? Am I going crazy? Zara is the only one with one innocent neighbor. It Am I not seeing someone that I should be seeing? We know that Scott has to have more innocent neighbors. At least one more. And he's gonna have to have one more here, so that will be 2. What about Karen? Karen already has 2 innocent neighbors. Hall doesn't have any, but he could have none. That's a possibility. Zara is the only one with one innocent neighbor. Hmm. What am I not seeing? I guess we know for sure. No, we don't know if Zara and Linda are one or the other situation because both of them could be innocent. That doesn't matter. That's not a deal breaker for us. Oh my god, I jinxed myself so bad when I said I would speed this. More criminals than innocents to the right of Phil. We don't need that clue anymore. Hall is one of 11 innocents on the edges. Oh, we have one criminal here. Do we know for sure that these two are innocents? Because it doesn't matter for Karen, it doesn't matter for Scott. It doesn't matter for Terry. It would matter for Hall. If Linda is an innocent, that would just mean that Hall has to have one more innocent neighbor on the edge, at least. I'm so worried I'm not seeing something that I should be seeing. Someone who has one innocent neighbor and needs another one. I guess we need to think that if Sarah is an innocent, Wanda or maybe Phil, someone else here would have to be innocent. But does that mean anything for us? I don't think it does. Oh, we can't have these three be criminals. Because Terry is already a criminal on the edge, and we only have three criminals on the edges total. So we can't have these three be criminals. So one of these ones have to be innocent. But why would the other one not be innocent? How do I not make a guess here? Because if Deborah could be a criminal. Deborah could be an innocent. If Deborah's an innocent, it doesn't force Linda to be a criminal or an innocent, because Cheryl could be an innocent or Gabe could be an innocent and make Hall have two innocent neighbors. Is it Freya? Karen already has more than one. Scott only has one. But we don't know about Julie, Phil, and Wanda. We don't know about Phil and Wanda, which would affect Xavier, regardless of what Zara is. We know for sure that Terry has to have one more instant neighbor, so let's focus on that. On who has to be an instant here. Either Linda or Zara. The only thing that means is that if Zara is an instant, it would force Xavier to have one more instant neighbor. And if Linda were instant, it would force Hall to have one more instant neighbor. I guess the clue might want to tell me that if we interpret the clue as telling us that only one innocent neighbor means that everyone has more than one innocent neighbor and no one has zero, then that doesn't really change anything. Because Zara could still be a criminal and Xavier could have two innocent neighbors here. And then Deborah could be a criminal. But excluding Deborah, because it doesn't matter, if Zara were an innocent and Linda were a criminal, Hall could still have two or more innocent neighbors here. So I don't see how I don't see what I'm supposed to be seeing. Freya, there are more instances above Xavier who never fail. Sarah is the only one with only one instant neighbor. I guess we can give up now. Apparently not, because I'm taking a bit to an easy one. There are more criminals and instances to the right of Phil. Phil is here, so we have solved that. Always one of 11 instances on the edges. Always here. We have 2 instances on the edges already, so we have 9 more to find out. Do we know that Vera has 2 innocent neighbors on the edges? Because let's think about the people who are on the edges. Shit, that's supposed to be an easy one. If Deborah has Hall as an innocent neighbor, she has to have one more here, at least. Either Cheryl or Gabe. And Andre, same thing. Either Ellie or Bruce, or both of them, have to be innocent. And Ellie, Bruce, and Cheryl are all on the edge. So at least one of them is gonna have to be an innocent. Okay? Am I making this way harder than it needs to be? Unnecessarily? We could think about Julie. Julie has one instant neighbor here, who is Freya, so she needs at least one more. But she isn't in a position where she wouldn't have any more instant neighbors if we did the 2 other criminals that we have on the edges. So let's look for someone like that. If both Linda and Zara were the other 2 criminals that we have on the edges, Terry would only have one instant neighbor, and that can happen. But what about Vera? Vera has to have at least one one instant neighbor among Oscar and Wanda, but that doesn't mean that both of them are not instant. Wanda, same thing. It could be Vera that were her second instant neighbor. Xavier doesn't have any instant neighbors. But if we put 2 criminals on the edges besides Xavier, Phil would have to be a criminal. And that would make Vera not able to have any more instant neighbors. Because if Oscar were innocent, then she would have only one instant neighbor and she can't have. And if Oscar were a criminal, then we have more criminals than we should on the edges. So we know that Xavier has at least 2 instant neighbors. Right? One of them has to be Wanda. I say that, but I don't know. Let's say that one of them has to be Wanda. If it is Wanda, Vera needs another instant neighbor, which is fine. But Xavier needs another instant neighbor. Are we looking at Vera? At Zara? Vera and Zara? Because if Zara is an instant, she could be a criminal and both Wanda and Phil be innocents. That suits Xavier and suits Vera. Now Terry would have to have Linda as an innocent. Was that true? I mean, that works for me. There's nothing telling us that it shouldn't work. So Zara could be a criminal? Could Zara be an innocent? Of course she could. If she and Wanda were an innocent. Could Wanda be a criminal and Phil an innocent? She could. And then Vera could still have 2 instant neighbors here. Xavier has 2 instant neighbors here. Scott has 2 instant neighbors. Terry has 2 instant neighbors. So, yeah. Sarah could very well be an innocent and Wanda a criminal. What about Linda? Can't believe I'm taking a beating. What about Linda? Could she be a criminal? If she is a criminal, Zara is an innocent. That's perfectly fine. That's fine for Hall. That's fine for Vera. because it doesn't matter how many instants Davy has if two or one of them are here. Deborah has to have one more instant neighbor. Andre has to have one more instant neighbor. I don't like this sort of tagging because I use tagging when it's one or the other. This isn't helping me. This isn't helping me. Vera needs at least one instant neighbor. Let's just say that she needs one instant neighbor here. And Terry needs at least one instant neighbor here. What about Ellie, Bruce, and Cheryl? We could have two criminals among them, but they couldn't be both Ellie and Bruce, because that would break Andre. But they could be both Bruce and Cheryl. That would be fine if Ellie and Gabe were innocents. Karen already has two, so that doesn't matter. Scott is gonna have two once Terry is solved. Julie so far only has Freya. But she's not very dangerous. Phil so far only has Xavi. But there's no way for him to have only one. Because there's gonna be at least one instant among Oscar, Isaac, and Vera. And now Vera has to have at least one instant among Oscar and Wanda as a neighbor. What about Linda? Linda has Hall. So she has to have one more. And the only possibility is Gabe. Oh my god, that was so long. I bet you were screaming at the screen. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I made this way more complicated than it should be. Oh my god. Both criminals in column C are connected. So Cheryl is an instant as well. Now Cheryl tells us that only one of the two instants in row 3 is Hall's neighbor. Row 3 is here and Hall only has one neighbor left in there. It's Linda, so she has to be an instant, and there's another instant in here who's either going to be Isaac or Julie. No singer has a criminal directly above them, so Ellie cannot have a criminal above her, so Andre is an instant. And Deborah doesn't have anyone above her. No other singers that I'm seeing. Andrew tells us that Ellie has exactly 4 instant neighbors. So we know for sure that there's going to be a criminal here. So Bruce cannot be a criminal as well. That's an innocent. Now, there are more criminals among coders than any other profession. How many coders are there? 1, 2, 3. There's 3 coders total, as far as I can see. 2 of them are criminals, so we can't have 2 criminals in any other professions. We have 1 criminal teacher here. We have 1 criminal clerk. Any other clerks that we can see? Bill. Bill is our only other clerk, and they can't be a criminal as well, so they have to be an innocent. Each row has at least 2 innocents, so row 4 has to have another one. Oscar has to be an innocent as well. Now, Oscar tells us that Deborah and Wanda have an equal number of innocent neighbors, so Wanda has to have 3. Deborah has 3, and Wanda has 3 already, so Vera, who is Wanda's last neighbor, has to be a criminal. And Vera now tells us that Linda has more criminal neighbors than Oscar. So Linda has 3 criminal neighbors. Oscar's gonna have 2, Vera and someone up here, so Wanda cannot be a criminal as well, or else they would have the same number, so Wanda is an innocent. Wanda now tells us that Hall has more innocent neighbors than Oscar. Well, we know Oscar's total, just because we know the criminal total, and that's 1, 2, 3. So Hall has to have more than 3, so Deborah is an innocent. Now Deborah tells us that there's an odd number of innocents neighboring Freya, and Freya so far has 4 innocent neighbors, but she's gonna have 5 with someone from down here. So Ellie is our 3rd criminal on the edge, and Isaac is an innocent, and Julie is a criminal. How long did that take me? Oh my god, there's Zara yet. Oh, Zara is an innocent. This was a bit embarrassing. Oh my god, half an hour for an easy one. Well, this is gonna be it for today. I hope you liked our speedy Clues by Sam, and I will be back tomorrow with more. Hopefully I'll do better, and I'll be streaming tonight again. So be there if you want to see it, and I hope to see you, if not tonight, tomorrow for more Clues by Sam. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.